Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Card Craft. Thanks for joining me again today. Now, I was very honoured to be asked to join in the collaboration with Mandy from Flowers and Doors, but her Facebook group is Junk Journal Ideas and Inspirations, and Julie from Julie's Papercraft. Now, they're doing, you may have seen it, I reckon you've all seen it by now, and they are doing the Out With a Bang collaboration. So it's summer into autumn, and that's what my prompt is. So my day is for the 14th of August, today, or whenever it is that you're watching it, and my prompt is summer into autumn. What we're going to actually be doing is a little thing to go onto a page. I plan to have this stuck onto a page at some stage, and it is summer. Now, both girls have put out kits for this. Mandy has got this beautiful grungy poppy kit, and Julie has got this fresh, vibrant gladioli kit. Now, they've both put out kits, as I said. You can get a discount with the code, or they've both also put out freebies for these. So you can play along as well and just jump onto the freebies. The freebies for Mandy's poppies are in the Facebook group that I mentioned before, and the freebies for Julie's gladiolis are in her Ko-fi store, which is just Julie's Papercraft, and that's what I've used. I've used the freebies from Julie's gladiolis. So this is our little thing, and it's summer, it's bright, it's fresh, but then summer becomes autumn, and our colours dull down and go brownish. This is so easy to make, very easy. All we're using is an old biscuit box, which will give us a little bit of sturdiness. We're going to be playing with some alcohol inks, a couple of colours, some acetate, and the freebie. That's it. So I hope you'll come along and join me for this one, and watch all the other girls that are doing Out With a Bang. Girls and guys, sorry. Watch everybody else doing Out With a Bang collaboration. Let's come along. Okay, so close up of what it is that we're going to make. Don't really have a name for it yet, but you know, my prompt, as I said before, was summer into autumn. For me, summer is bright and light and all those sorts of things. Autumn is when our colours start to dull. So this is my light and bright, and then we've just got our tab across the top, and as we pull it across, our colours fade and become dull. So this is really easy to make, okay? Very hard if I'm trying to do it that way. But as I said, I would attach it to a page, which makes it a little bit more sturdy. I'm just going to sit that here. What we're going to need, as I said before, is some packaging. This is off my son's favourite biscuits, and he buys and eats these all the time, so I've usually got a stock of these. So what I've done with this one is just cut out the sections. This one, as you can see, he's ripped. So I just cut out these sections, and what you'll get from those. So here is one of those sections. So this one measures overall, once I've cut it down, so it was 14 centimetres or 5 11/16 in an inch. I had to write all these down to try and work them all out for you, and which was the height of that one, and then I've just cut it in half and ended up with 4 inches or 10.2 centimetres. So that's the size of my overall finished project. So that's those, and you need 2 of these. So it's a little bit sturdier than your normal paper or presentation paper, but not as thick as normal chipboard and stuff like that that's really going to add the bulk, because you've got 2 of these together. So that's those 2. What you're also going to need is a piece of acetate. Now, as you can see, my acetate pack is literally just packaging scraps. So I keep that in my drawer and always pull it out when I need a little piece of acetate. So that's that one. And then you're going to need some book page or printables or whatever it is you want to decorate this with. So as I said before, I've used Julie's freebie. I've printed off freebies 1 and freebies 2 of her gladioli kits, and I've probably done a mix. I couldn't tell you now which ones were which, I'm sorry. This is Julie from Julie's Paper Craft, and she has these on her Ko-fi shop. The link will be down below. So it is a pretty kit. It's got some lovely colours in it and all the rest. I've got some misprints in there and everything else, but I will use all these sorts of things, and I'm only actually using 2 sheets. Oh, the other thing you will need, I have a piece of very thin cardboard, I suppose. It's from the back of a lined writing pad. You know, the school paper pads, writing pads? It's those. And what I would do with that is I've got double-sided tape, thin double-sided tape on that, and I will explain why as we go through. So first things first, we're going to do our acetate so that it has time to set. Now, this is too large, of course. I need it slightly smaller, so I'm just going to, I'm going to take it that side. And at this stage, I'm just going to cut a piece that's about 2 1/4 inches wide. It will be trimmed down from that later on. I'm going to get a silicone mat. As you can see, mine is very well loved. Might move that out from underneath it. So a silicone mat, and we're going to use some alcohol inks. I've just pulled out 2 colours. I've got butterscotch, which is a lighter brown, and then I've got ginger, which is a slightly darker brown. Most of this will be done in butterscotch, and I'm not using blending solution. I did pull out my blending solution, which is almost finished. If you don't have blending solution, hand sanitizer, isopropyl alcohol, those sorts of things, all do it as well. But I found what I wanted as my finished product in this. I didn't need to blend it at all. I wanted it droppy, I suppose. So I've got my old blending tools here, and I have foam on them. You can purchase foam for these, or you can just, not foam, felt, or you can just cut some felt up, which is what I do. I've got some old red felt, and I just cut that up and pop it on there. So I'm just going to blops and blops, like so. And I'm not swirling, I just want to move it around. So I'm moving it slightly sideways, but I'm more or less just covering it with up and down motions. So I get that difference in the colour as I go. Okay. I'm going to pop a little bit more on that until I've got all of my acetate covered. You don't want to leave any clear bits. Doesn't take much to do. Right. You can always, the best thing about alcohol inks is you can keep adding colour to it, and you can add other colours if you want. I don't have a great deal of alcohol inks. Played with them for years, but when I went to pull them out the other night, I realised I didn't actually have a great deal of them. So colour-wise, that's about all I've got. So I had lots of nice bright colours, not many dark colours. So now I'm going to grab the ginger, and I'm just going to blot a few drops of ginger. At this stage we can add more, and just move that around just to give me my darker edges. And this time I'm just slightly moving my blending tool a little bit, not swirling it all the way around, because I want them patched, I suppose would be the best word for it. As much or as little as you like. Put that right out of the way. Oh, look. Right. That's about what I'm looking for. I want that rain affected, I suppose would be the best word for it. I'm going to pop the lids back on my alcohol inks before I get them absolutely everywhere. And then what we're going to do is pick this up so that you can now see what we've got. Okay, so can you see what we've got there now? It's not much colour, it's a little bit, it's there just to darken our flowers up. So It takes a little bit of time to completely cure, I suppose would be the best word for it. So we're just going to leave that aside, and I'm going to pick the whole thing up and pop it over there while we're doing our next bit. And that will all just come off over time. You'll probably see my next video and it'll all still be on there. Right, so back to these ones. We have 2 of these. The reason I like packaging like these is one side is a matte. One side is shiny. So what I usually do with these is I grab, here we go, I grab a sanding block, I grab an old book, right, and I sand that down. What it does, and here's one I've just prepared, what it does is it allows the glue to really take hold of it. So we've got one completely sanded. The other one can be completely sanded, but you're mainly focusing on the edges. Okay, so edges like that. Give that a wipe. Cloth would be good, otherwise your jeans work a treat. Mine do anyway. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to get rid of that page because I want to glue on that. That goes in my recycling. Oh, sorry, hang on a moment. Sorry, just need a drink. Got a little bit of a frog in my throat. That one's now surplus to requirements. So I've got this one, which will be the bottom. This one is my top. We're going to turn this over. The one that we've just sanded around our edges, we're going to turn over. And what we're going to do is mark in this where we want to cut it out for our window. So going from our right side, we're going to measure over 2 inches, or 2 inches is 5 centimetres, roundabout. So 2 inches. Run your ruler and your pencil down that, like so. Okay. In this one, we're going to measure in 5/16 of an inch. I know, right? Or about 8 millimetres. I found 1/4 of an inch was just a little bit too narrow, and I did do this up somewhere. I tend to, all my workings, I tend to originally work on copy paper, and so I've done it up as copy paper to start with, and that's when I found 1/4 of an inch was just a little bit too narrow. So I've just taken a 1/16 again from that, which just gave me just a little bit more, but enough that it didn't look out of place and it held everything still. So we're going to rule down that one. Now top and bottom are going to be 1/2 an inch or 12 millimetres. Okay, so 1/2 an inch there, 1/2 an inch there, going exactly the same as you did before and ruling across there. It is easier to mark, measure and cut all this prior to sticking your top sheet on, mainly because you do need so many pencil marks and all the rest to cut this out, so you can see where they are now. And you'll see in my original one, because I covered it first and then cut it out, there is a slight indentation of where my pencil lines are. You can't really see them, but I can see them and I know they're there. So for the sake of this, we're going to do it this way. So what we want to do is cut all that out. Okay, right into your corners. Cut each one of these out. Once that's cut out, you will then cover the whole thing with a sheet. Now the sheet that I wanted to use is this one, which is on the kit. I liked all this script. If you're somebody that's been following me for a while, you know I use script paper, book pages, things like that, ledgers, receipts. I like all that sort of stuff as my background. So this matched in perfectly. So we're going to stick it onto this. You'll see that I have already stuck it on, ready to go, just so it gave it time to dry. So now we're going to cut this out and we're going to cut this little window out. So this is just with your blade. Blade is probably the easiest way to do it. But if you don't have a blade, try your scissors. Just cut a V in it and try your scissors. Go slowly. If you've got a little V blade trimmer, you can use those. It may be a little bit more difficult with this backing because it is slightly thicker. So just watch if you're using a little V blade. If you've got a rotary trimmer, it's not going to be able to stop right on a dime for you. So it'll do this side, these ones, but you won't be able to get it to stop right on the edge for you with the inner part. So we'll just trim this out. I tend to use a blade for just about everything. Move that bit. We want to trim off here, and I stuck it right down to the bottom so that I had one side completely. It didn't need to be cut, more or less. And the other one just in case anything was crooked. Right, so let's see what I've got left in those. That bit. So now I'm just going in and making sure I've got my corners right to the tips, like so. Let's see what I've got. That's out, a little bit just there. Right, so now what we've got is our frame. Now this is me, I will need to ink all that. A couple of reasons. One, it was still a little bit wet because I'd only just done this just before we turned and did the other bit. But I want to get rid of this white edge, the white core colour that's either on the packaging or on my printables. And you also want to do down here, okay? Same sort of thing. So just inking all those edges. Now that we've got our little window where we can see what's going on, we can actually adhere the backing. So that's our top piece. This one is for our backing. So this one is going to go that way up so that our two coloured sections will join together. That way we're white on that side and clear on that side, so none of that packaging was showing through whatever we'd stuck on. And it means that if you don't want to actually attach it to your page, you can have it as a pocket that's in there and you've got journaling space on the other side. So this is my inside piece and I wanted to use this one. I loved these colours. But what I'm going to do is actually sit my top piece on there until I can work out what part of the picture I like. And I quite like that. I'm thinking, because that gives me quite a bit of colour without too much colour. Some greenery in there as well. Whereas I think that is just the oranges. That one looks all right. But I want a little bit more colour going up here. So I'm thinking I'm going to go just there. Right. So it's about there that I want to go. So I'm going to trim that off. And about there, where that pencil line is. Okay. And then I can adhere this down. So I've gone right to the bottom of that, haven't I? That's where I'm going. I'm going to trim that bottom piece off as well. Like so. And then this can be adhered down like that. Don't worry about the white that we've got down here because you've got to remember this is going to be adhered on top of that anyway and you won't see any of that. So we're going to glue with just a glue stick onto that piece. Now, if you're concerned about it, by all means, run some double-sided tape around your edges as well. But I tend not to on this inner bit. I did on my top bit, ran double-sided tape around my edges just so it doesn't get dog-eared or want to lift up or anything else. This one is now just going to go straight down here. Match up one corner and then we can still move it around. Let's have a look and see how we've got it. Not straight at all is how we've got it. Moving that over. That's better. And if I'm looking for, that's what I'm after, just my little scraper. And I can push that down and really push it down. Now, when you first glue these, they do have a tendency to want to curl a little bit. We're just going to have to deal with that with this one because I don't have time. Well, I could glue it, then leave it weighted under something and then come back tomorrow, but let's not. We're just going to trim that one now and hope that we don't get too much glue on our knife. That one. Always keep your bits, you'll use them. Who am I talking to? We all keep everything. Right, that's that one. I'm a little bit wonky just down there. And I need to make sure that they're both the same size. So let's have a look. There we go. Lovely. So this, wrong one. This one is going to be adhered on to that one, just like so. All right, before I do that, I want to ink just this side. So I'm just going to ink down there, and then the rest I will ink together, so you can see the difference between where I've inked this bit and where this bit's not inked. So once it's all together, I will then ink all that. Right, now this is why I do these little strips. So they've got a very fine, thin 3mm 1/16, 2/16, something like that. Let's have a look. What is 3mm in the other language? Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't know. 1, 2, 3/16, something like that. It's really narrow. Let's just put it at that. I don't know. I just buy them as a 3mm double-sided tape. And that's what I use them for. So I will put a strip on my cardboard, trim off my cardboard, and put a strip on the other side. And what we're going to actually do, so I've already got my strips, my double-sided tape on both sides. I'm going to peel off some, and I'm going to work my way around these 3 edges. Okay, I'm going to work from this side so it's as close as I can to the edge, because I want as much room as I can get inside. Now, look, I don't tend to use double-sided adhesive foam strips for this because the foam still tends to be a little bit sticky on the edges, okay, in here. And when you've got a slider going on, or if you're doing a shaker card or something like that, it will get stuck to those edges. So I tend to use chipboard instead, okay? And that's my reasoning to it. I'm just grabbing another strip. And we're going same all the way down the other side. As close as you can to the edge. That way it's going to lift the whole thing up and it gives it room to move. If you just adhered these straight down with glue, it'll look great, don't get me wrong, but what happens is that it's so tightly bound in there, your acetate is not free to move. All right, so I'm just using a piece down that I've got left over here. There's one of my pieces, and another little piece. Where's my other little piece that I had? It's right in front of me. Okay, and this one needs to be to about there. And as this is not a shaker card, if you've got a little bit of a gap, it doesn't matter. It does matter if you've got a little bit over, but if you've got a bit of a gap, it doesn't matter. It's not as though you're filling it with glitter. Right, so what we've got now, you can see how that's wanting to bend, is if I put this on here, like so, what it does is it raises it just a little bit to allow, so you really can't see that that's there, and we'll ink all of that, but it allows for our acetate, which should be nicely set by now. Yep, it's not sticky at all. Now, the acetate, this is the side that I did, and I don't know if, all right, there it is there. I don't know if you can pick up, it looks a little bit shinier. I tend to turn it around that way. I feel that because that's the opposite side to the side that we did, and I think that actually has a better finish on it. So that's the side that I'm going to use. Just realised I've got a small dog hair on that. That's because the dog was in here with me earlier while I was setting up. Just pick that one off, and there's another one. And he was sitting on my lap while I was getting everything ready. There we go. Right, so this is our acetate. Now you can see why I need to trim it down. If this sits in here like so, so you can see already the difference it does to the colours. Okay, and that's our summer into autumn. I need to get that off there. Put that in the bin, Kylie. So if I sit this down here so that it sits in place, you can see that it's just a little bit above. I think you can see. Can you see? Yep. So I'm going to trim just a tad off that because it needs to sit, if I get another one of these, it needs to sit under where that one's going to sit. So it can be a little bit shorter again, but you can't have it any longer. So I'm just going to look at what I really like this side, so I'm going to trim it off that side. And let's have a look at where it sits now. That's better, but it might still be a little bit tight. That is just that height. We're going to trim a little bit more off. And this is literally just playing and working out where your bits are. You can't, measurement wise, you can see it's probably about 1/4 inch lower now, which will give it some movement, but it's still too wide, because if I put this here, if I move this one back over, all right, so it sits in its resting place. When this one goes on, see how we can see it? This is 2 inches. This is 2 inches. Well, from here to here is 2, from here to here is 2. So we need it under 2 inches, okay? Because we've also got to take out that bit. So if you look at that, that's 4 inches. It needs to be cut back to about there because it's coming out from there. So we're going to trim a little bit, just take little bits at a time off. You can always take more off. It's a real pain to put back on. So at this stage, I'm trimming that back to 2 inches. I'm going to sit that in there. We're going to have a look at that. Still needs a little bit more. The reason I do it so large to start with is that gives me options of which side I want to cut out, because it depends, each time you do this, these markings from your alcohol ink will be different. So I'm taking them all from this side because I like these ones, and I don't want to lose any of those. I'm going to take just a little bit more. We want it to sit in there without really being shown. So that's what we've got now. If I sit that in there, let's have a look. Almost. If I sit that side, let's have a look at what we've got. It could probably have that much. Is that a measurement? We're not taking much, just the tiniest sliver. Just watch when you're taking just a sliver off your acetate. Okay, so now let's have a look and see what we've got. That I'm happier with. You can still see a little bit of it, but I think if I take any more, depending on your packaging, if your packaging allows you for a wider one, by all means do a slightly wider finish. Yep, happier with that. Now, before we finish, what we need to do is put a tab on the top of our acetate so that we can move it. Okay, we're going to pop our tab on, and then we can pop our pieces like this up the top, which allows it not to fall out. So to put our tab on, don't do what I did last time and I put too wide a tab on, and you can see it here. Okay, you don't want to go under that. And all I did for my tab last time was I used a piece that I had left over from that. So let's do that again. I'll take off that. I will fold that because I can trim it down. Just going to fold it in half. And I want probably about that. Do you reckon that's straight? No. I want to go about there, I think. But let's just have a look. So this time I'm going to actually sit it in place because it needs to go up a little bit. About there. So I'm only actually putting just a little bit on. And I'm thinking that's going to stick out. It can actually be a little bit shorter. Doesn't need to go that far up. Right, before we put it on, I'm just going to do my edges. You won't see these bottom edges, hopefully. That's the whole plan of it now. You can either use double-sided tape or you can just use glue. I'm going to sit that on my grid in the middle. So you can see that it's smaller than 2 inches. These are 1 inch markings. And I can sit my tab again in the middle of it. Okay, so a little bit of glue on one side. Pick whichever side you want, or if you're using wording like me, make sure the front one's got your wording up the right way. Like that. Okay, it only needed a little bit on there. Try and go straight, Kylie, because that's not. There we go. Like so. Now we can glue the rest of that. Like so. Sticking that down. Now that we've got our tab on, we can see where this needs to go to. So we can pop a little piece here, and then we can pop a little piece there. The rest of that will need to be open so that it will move across. Does that make sense? So you can see here, a little bit there and a little bit there. Okay, so I need some of these, and by the look of it, I don't have the other side done to these ones. Let's grab that. I reckon that whole one there will do it. Just like that. Peeling one side off, going over. And I'm still not, I've got to go this way. I really do need to go this way because then I can actually see what it is I'm doing. Trimming that section off. Right, there's that one. Moving this back over to this side. And we want a little piece in there. There it is. Right up the top. We're going right up the top because then we can actually ink that and it all looks the same. Right, that's that, that's that. Now we can pop our front cover on. So taking off your backing of your double-sided tape. That one and that one. I keep picking up that one. Here we go, we want this one. Again, leaving your acetate in there, matching a corner, matching your other corner. You'll see that my hand holds the rest up. Like so. Give that a good push. And what you've got, there you go. Not hard at all, are they? It just slides across and we're into autumn. I hope you've enjoyed this one. To save time on everything else, we'll go back to our original one, and all I've done with the other one is popped on a stamp. Stamp was from, it was an Ultimate Craft stamp, and I literally bought it just for that verse. Put flowers in your hair, peace in your soul, and love in your heart. And I use it over and over and over, as you can see, because it's stained. And the flowers were just, again, out of Julie's kit. She has a hype of these flowers. Now, these flowers also match the original old EK Success punches. So I've cut out some coloured ones, and then out of my scraps from our backing, I've punched out one as well, and then I've just popped a little yellow button with some orange embroidery floss in it. That way it's all my summer becomes autumn. So thank you very much for joining me for this one. It's been a great pleasure to be part of this collaboration. It's been a great pleasure to have you all on board for this. Thank you all so much. Till next time, happy crafting. Bye.